Well, let's kick off the conversation now, talking about inflation. We see, according to the National Bureau of Statistics, Nigeria's annual inflation rate rose to 22.22% in April from 22.04% in the previous month. Report also shows food inflation rate quickened to 24.61% in April from 24.46% in March. And we know food is a big part of spending for many Nigerian households. So what can the incoming administration do to promote and help Nigeria's agricultural sector? Joining me now is Tunde Banjoko, MD, Banjoko Farms, joining me via Zoom. Great to have you on the show.
Good morning, Ladi. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm doing fine, but now we have fears of famine. See the World Bank warning that countries like Afghanistan, Burkina Faso, Haiti, Somalia, South Sudan, and Nigeria are experiencing catastrophic levels of food insecurity, and they're painting a picture of, famine, that's coming, and obviously we know we cannot live without food. Even though you can buy it, you might not have, the food to buy. How are you seeing this report by the World Bank?
It's a scary one, but it's what we can all, attest to on a daily basis. It's something we all see when we go out. And maybe I'm even tempted to say, is the rate not even higher in the market than what is being even projected by the NBS? But what I'm looking at is, last year, doing it year on year, even though I'm not an economist, it was about 18%. The food inflation rate was about 18% last year. And now it has gone to 24%. And like the report INE gave earlier on, when you look at it in the last maybe 8 years, it was at single digit, and now it's at a double digit, and it's likely going to be higher. So my concern is the drivers of this inflation are still not being addressed. They are not being addressed. And because they are yet to be addressed, the figure is likely to go higher and the situation is likely to persist. So what the World Bank and everybody is saying is true. And I think, like you rightly mentioned, the new administration has to start addressing these drivers of these numbers. It's scary, it's real, and I think it's something that is a concern to anybody.
Yeah, and everyone is...
And maybe I should also say this at this point. During the same period, you look at FAO releasing their own report, and in their own report, the cost of food of some items in the international market has been dropping in the last 12 months. But the countries that are not benefiting are those that rely on net importation, those who have devalued their currencies against the dollar, against the euro, most of which are in developing nations. You look at cereals have gone down by 7.1% because of what Australia pushed into the market, climatic condition in the European communities. You look at, soy oil and some other products coming down by about 4.2%. You look at what maize is doing in the global market because of what Brazil pushed into the market. I think it came down by about 4.2%. The same thing with rice, with what Indonesia is doing. So we now need to start addressing those issues that are driving our rate so that we reverse this trend and not plunge ourselves into serious food crisis. Thank you, Ladi.
Yeah, but let's break it down. At this time, everyone is talking, agenda setting, for the incoming government. What do you want to see in the first 100 days to at least give us a clear direction on avoiding a famine, in this country?
Okay, avoiding famine in the first 100 days, like I said earlier on, the drivers of these things are the things we'll be interested in. What are the drivers? Insecurity in the north has, sent a lot of farmers out of their farms. That has reduced the production of food in Nigeria and is pushing price on the high side. We look at the effect of the flood we had in 2022, over 300,000 hectares of farmland, 1.4 million people displaced. And then we look at even the value of agriculture. that was lost, about 700 billion, even though the entire thing was about 4.2 trillion, but agriculture was affected by 700 billion. So, and now 2023, we were told the flood is likely to be higher than what we saw in 2022. So in the first 100 days, we will want the issue of insecurity addressed, where farmers are, confident enough to go to their farms in those areas, because those are some of the large baskets. We'll talk of the North Central, majorly the North Central, the Northeast, and even some other part of the country. So the issue of insecurity should be number one on that list, that boost the farmers' confidence to go back to their farms, to be able to produce enough, and then we'll have good distribution. Then we also, in that first 100 days, we need to see in the appointment of those that will be driving our agri policy, we need to see that these are real technocrats and not political compensation, because that ministry seems to have been a bit docile in the last couple of years. We are not sure of those driving the agri policy, the food policy, and that's why some of us are convinced it's like in a state of comatose. The activities have been low in that sector, so we will need in those appointment of those driving that sector to be people who are concerned about the state of the economy, concerned about the state of agri, and then are willing to drive it. Not just, it's not just about the certificate this time around. We need those who knows what each geopolitical zone have comparative advantage to bring to the table, and they start setting up policy. We need to start talking about the private sector, public participation. It should be a collaboration. That's what I'll be looking at in the next 100 days. I want to see who are we appointing as the Minister of Agriculture? Who are we appointing? What is the government going to be doing about the insecurity? And then, of course, maybe one sharp one will also be transportation is adding to this cost. Maybe those are, like you said, first 100 days, not the whole administration. So those will be some quick pointers for me.
Yeah, because globally we've seen that the first 100 days are able to give, a direction. Yeah, so we know where we're actually, going with the new government. But let's look at, some of the policies now from the outgoing administration. And I want you to rate, most of those policies. We've seen the Anchor Borrowers Program, huge interventions, by the Central Bank of Nigeria. How have they performed so far?
Larry, you want my CSC document withdrawn? So, okay, but
I don't want it withdrawn, but I just want you to tell me exactly how has it been?
No. In fairness, some of the policies...
Because there must be some positives at least.
Yeah, some of them have done well. Like the Anchor Borrower was one of the first initiatives of the Buhari administration in 2015. I think that was done November 2015, and they've released about 1.09 trillion into that project. And according to statistics, about 4.5 million smallholder farmers, 21 commodities have been funded, so many factories have been funded. So I think, in fairness, that has impacted some of the projects. We've seen the policy on rice that brought some new rice processors into the industry. We've seen the policy with cassava that has boosted some of the processing. We've seen now the usage of cassava in the country to ethanol, to starch, to flour. There have been some, encouragement. So some of those policies, in fairness, have done well, have boosted. We've seen people also now seeing agriculture as a viable means to turn around the numbers, because food inflation is a major driver of the inflation rate. If that is addressed, I'm sure other things will be addressed. So some of the policies have done well, but like I always say, with a proper review, they can do better. And then maybe another one, like the seed policy, trying to have an agency overseeing a seed policy is also a good drive. And a lot of, youth empowerment programs to drive agriculture has also done fairly well. So I think I'll give that to him. in some areas, they've done well. So let's not be pessimistic in all our, I mean, that's a very good one. And I'm as objective as possible. I'm sure you know I try to give my objective remarks on things.
All right, but, looking at the data, so far, we've seen the food price index that has soared about 263% under the Buhari administration. Do you think, if we go back, if it was any other government, we'll still be in this position?
No. If it's somebody else, we probably might not be in this position. What I think we've been trying to do in the last couple of years is using monetary policy to address inflation only. And that cannot be the only thing addressing our inflation. So, like I said, when we look at the appointments, if there's no performance, we should be willing at any point in time to change the drivers of the policy. That has not been seen in this administration, to see them putting the drivers of the policy on their toes to deliver. Most of the ministers, I was still in a forum yesterday talking about agriculture, and it's amazing that a lot of farmers do not know the name of the current Minister of Agriculture. And I have to tell them this is the name of our minister. And some of them are saying, I'm hearing the name for the first time. These are big players in the industry, and they don't even know the name of their minister. And some of them don't even know about the programs of the administration. So I think this administration didn't pay attention to, one, proper evaluation of his appointees, maybe two, again, evaluation of the policies and programs, and maybe three, in terms of projection. I think the president once mentioned that even those that should be talking about the programs of this administration are not talking about them as much as they should. So people don't even know that some of these, like the seed one I mentioned, that some of these things exist, some of these other policies exist. So if it was somebody else who knows the value of the media, information sharing, evaluation, and would have done better, and also using the other mechanics. Like, we need serious domestic restructuring to achieve some of the things we are talking about. It's not just about monetary policy. You can't have a government where, a PA will have 4 PAs, a special advisor will have 4 special advisors, will have special, all those bottlenecks and costs are really avoidable. So somebody else could have probably seen things better and done better. That's my honest.
All right, let me take you to the poultry side of things. We've discussed with a lot of poultry farmers on the show, and they've raised alarm about the egg glut in that industry. They have so many eggs, and they can't sell them. We've seen most of them, they've actually gone bad. They have to bury millions, of eggs. And I want you to tell me, is the situation getting any better there right now?
Looking at what we still saw early this year in terms of the egg glut, I can say it's better, because a lot of farmers still were burying their eggs. As of this year, February, March, April, we still saw a lot of them doing that. And in the same country, good enough, we have processors who are already converting these eggs into egg powder. But the capacity they have is small. One is very close to your office. Well, I'm sure I can't mention her name. Very close to your office, already converting egg into egg powder, but her scale is very small. She needs funds for expansion to be able to accommodate as much. And this is the issue, Ladi. She has the capacity to convert egg to egg powder. She has orders for the products within the country from those who are importing, but she can't meet up their demand because she doesn't have the fund for expansion. So Adibin, we're in a situation whereby she has the fund to expand. She will be able to take from the farmers, convert it to powder, and be able to supply those who are buying or importing, and now putting pressure on our forex. So this thing is a chain. So we have to address it. Once we address that, but it's still a major issue. And one of the consequences of that I've observed in the last 12 months, thereabout, a lot of poultry farmers are shutting down or stopping the production of eggs and moving into breeders, meaning all they want to just do is produce for meat rather than for egg. And we need all. We need the meat, we need the egg, and even for the animal husbandry, we need the milk, we need the meat. But people don't have the infrastructure and the finance, though they have the expertise. Some of them have the basic required capacity, facility and the technical knowledge, but they do not have the funds. So that has to be addressed. Once that is addressed, then the issue of egg glut can be resolved, because it is actually not, it's not beyond us. It is possible. The same lady I mentioned that is converting to egg powder is even exporting already from the little she has. So imagine if she's able to meet the industrial use of egg powder in Nigeria. You can imagine the job she'll be creating in her factory. You can imagine the employment and other things, and she'll be reducing pressure on our foreign exchange. So I think what I'm saying again is, so we need to start funding these people that can take these issues and be able to expand and benefit from other things. That's right. So it's still a major issue, and this administration should look at how can they support these medium-scale processors to be able to resolve these issues for us.
Yeah, and definitely not an easy time, to be looking for funds with cost of borrowing sky high with all the central bankers raising
like
rates.
You said, farmers are not. It's scary. Let me also be honest. For some of us, like my company, we made a policy at one of our board meetings last year that maybe this is not a good time to be taking loan for projects.
Definitely not a good time. Yeah.
Not a good time, and this year again, we've attended some seminars, some business meetings, and they're saying probably not a good time. Yes, everybody is saying, let's see what comes in the new administration. And so it's really, so you are scared as a farmer to go and get a loan for your project.
Yes.
Even though let me give an example again. My company is going into mobile processing of cassava, where you get mobile equipment, take it to the farms at different locations so that you can reduce post-harvest losses. But we probably need some capital injection into such. But you are looking at, okay, I need 75 million to get a unit. Am I going to get a loan for this? What if the rate changes on me? Will I not become, I have credit bureau issue where I will now become blacklisted as I'm not credit worthy. So this is May. We've not bought the equipment. I'm sure so many farmers are still struggling. I still got a call yesterday. So many farmers are, having issues of taking their product or moving them out of their farms. These mobile units would have just been taken to their farm, convert their cassava to starch, to chips, to gari, to fufu, and then take it to off-takers. But you can't do that because you are scared of taking loans at this time.
Right. So the fear of loans. All right.
Body language that gives us that confidence.
Okay. All right. We'll have to leave it there now. Thank you so much, Mr. Tunde Banjoko, MD, Banjoko Farms. It was great having your perspective today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Laddie.